Good morning and welcome to Trading with Larry. It's Larry Benedict, joined by Eric Shamalov. He's back. He's back from his deep analysis of the tape. But glad he's back and looking forward to hearing what you have to say. We are going to go till 9:10. I actually have a hard stop that I need to handle at 9:10. So we got 40 minutes, and I want to get really clear and concise. We got the big jobs number on Friday. We've had really, really bad data from JOLTS to ADP, but we've seen this movie before. So the question is the government going to tell the truth? And I'm going to have to go on the side is that they're going to tell a semi-truth. So the number probably won't be as weak as what is going on here. If it is, there's trouble. I'm kicking myself a little. I had a big, I've talked about this on the air for the last 2 weeks. I had a big long bond position out 20 and 30 years, basically going the opposite of what everybody else had on the street. And that trade really paid off. Literally since yesterday's opening to today, the 30-year is almost down 20 basis points from where it was trading yesterday at this time. So that's a big move. And the 10-year is 419 on the yield, which is the lower end of the yield process that we've been in here. I am looking at other bond markets, and the bond market that I think shows the best value is the British bond market. 20 and 30 years are almost 6%. They're 570. Like if we went there, our whole market would crash. But we got a big number tomorrow. Again, will they show the truth? Does someone want to? The question is really, I'll throw it to you after this. Does someone really want to lose their job tomorrow? And jobs will be had tomorrow if the number is bad. So people are facing it. Maybe that guy or woman is sending out resumes right now because they will not have a job if this number is bad tomorrow. He will go after the label, the BLS, and Bureau of Labor Statistics. He's going to gut that place. So be aware of that. So I actually sold my bond position a little bit too early, so I got lucky that I didn't have to carry it into the number. And
Well, I mean, ADP came out today with a negative number. I don't think they're a government body, but the jobless claims number was worse than expected. They're not afraid of losing their job. So I don't know if, you're pushing this conspiracy theory that they're afraid to lose their job. Do you really think that?
yes, I don't think they're actually scared and terrified, but yeah, they don't want to lose their. Would you? Would you want to have really bad numbers come out and then deal with the wrath of whatever?
I don't know. I got to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're reporting as is.
Oh, come on. I mean, we already know that that number's been fudged for minimally the last 8 years or 6 years, okay, where we had the same, claims number every single week for like 19 weeks in a row. And then when
They
Biden,
don't know what they're
time out, because you got me going here. Biden was the president, and they revamped the jobs number at the end of the term by 5 million jobs. They couldn't find out that 5 million people were unemployed. They just changed the numbers. So these numbers are revised. These are
circumstantial evidence, Larry.
these are
Circumstantial.
survey numbers. They are survey numbers. That's all they are. So I wouldn't count on this number being better than what I'm not saying better than expected, but better than what we're seeing right now. And I would bank on that. And then the bigger question is let's segue into the markets because it's weird that the market's reaction is really weird that they're disregarding these really bad potential numbers and the numbers we've had before. And as I was driving in today, I was thinking about this, and literally the Nasdaq to me seems like it's going a lot lower. I know it's up this morning, and I know you're the price action guy. And when price action is higher, you don't get as bearish as you were the last 2 days when you came on when the price action was lower. So I'm sure you're not bearish. But if in fact you look at the underpinnings of the market, if you look at the underpinnings of the market, like yesterday, Nvidia's been terrible day after day after day. So then they come up with this news in Google, which, listen, it's very good news that they get to keep Chrome, but there's stipulations on here that are pretty heavy. So they're in worse condition than they were, before the ruling as far as what they can and can't do. Then they swing into Google yesterday as they're not buying Meta, you know, in Nvidia, etc. So today, like last night after the close, you had about four earnings, and they were all not Salesforce down 7-8%. That's a really big market stock. But then they roll into something else. So all you have to do is see what that algo is buying. I mean, I'm looking at the market after they ran Nasdaq on an imbalance of 4 billion to buy on the close, 150 Nasdaq points off of a small, it's not small because there's no volume out there, but an imbalance that was to buy. So they dislocated sellers on the close. Okay, me being one of them. In full disclosure, we were having one of our best trading days of the year yesterday, and we still had a good day. But it would have been unbelievable. And they ran the market on the shorts, and they've made everybody cover. But if you look at the underpinnings of the market looks heavy to me. I mean, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing, but the market feels heavy to me. And today, I don't think we're going to have 4 billion to buy. We may have 4 billion for sale, people looking to get out before the number. And then I'm going to throw it to you to answer this. Like, what's a good number tomorrow? Is a really bad number good? Do they think they're coming off 25 basis points and doing 50? I don't think there's a shot of that. But is a really bad number good or bad for the market? So I'll let
I
you
hate
answer it. I have
I hate
my
when
answer.
the market I hate when the market gets into this. Like, is a bad jobs number good? And then it gets fueled by all the headline writers and all, you know, bad news is good news. Good news is bad news. More jobs is good. Less jobs is bad. The fact that the market is looking at a bad jobs number to produce a positive outcome is crazy to me. They're looking for that guaranteed rate cut and maybe speculation that will be guaranteed 50 basis points by the end of the year, maybe more. Maybe they'll bring it down to zero, so the market could keep rallying. The data's coming out. The inflation data will be coming out. I think we're going to have the tick up, but yesterday you mentioned, right? Google led things forward, and I think it just like when they came out with that antitrust news. To me, I think the algo just flipped back on. It was on the ropes. It looked like it was going to break on Monday, and the goalies are out, like you said. So, but yeah, to me today, the market definitely looks a little bit top heavy. So to answer your question, I'm still bearish.
Oh boy, I don't know.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't, dude. It doesn't sound like Monday, Eric. It sounds like a
yeah.
bear that's been shot. Okay, I'm still bearish. Okay,
Not with the bullets, just with the tranquilizer. It's okay.
okay, but
I'm still
I listen. I think, you look at the algo and you're like, the algo is buying Google. I don't even think it's the algo. I think it's just public just coming in and swooping in on whatever stocks are moving. Nvidia, believe it or not, Nvidia is off the program. Um, they can't juke that thing $5 anymore. That thing isn't moving. It feels to me like it's teetering on really getting hit, maybe down through 160. Um, and somehow, like I said before, with with Nvidia at 184. Now Nvidia, which is by far the largest weighting in the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P, right? Coming in basically 10% or more, and the markets are fine, and S&P's at an all-time high. I mean, something just it's just a rotation into whatever stock they can jam. And I was thinking about this also. Don't you think investors out there have lost their way, in the sense of the greed factor and what they expect to make? I talked a little about this yesterday. I was somewhere and I was talking to someone and they had a triple in a stock. I don't know. I've been in this for a full career. I don't know if I've ever had a triple. I don't think I ever have. I mean, I've hit a lot of home runs by grinding and working in a true business, but I don't know if I've ever had a triple. Maybe, but I would say doubtful. I don't think I've ever had one, okay? But this person is not looking for a triple. They're looking for 20 times their money, okay? And that's the investors out there. Whatever happened to, indexing, making an 8% return, following the S&P, that game, if you said to someone, you can make an 8% return right now for the year guaranteed, or you can play the casino game that we're in, gambling every single day to maybe make double your money, no one's taking 8%. And that to me leads me to think that we're in a lot of trouble. There is no number that can satisfy. Like I have a product, I could probably show a 10 to 20 to 25% return. That doesn't even sound sexy in this market. That's not sexy enough. They need 100% returns. They need it in 2 weeks. The market is just giving out free money. So I'm putting a warning out there. Okay. Something is going to happen here. And the investor base is very, very complacent and very greedy. Okay. Sorry, guys out there that are watching. Hopefully, you're not one of them because we don't preach or teach that in what we do. We work every day to try to make money, grind up P&L, add to returns. And then we do take shots, but we take shots with, you know, money that we've made. So I'm really, really afraid that people here are just sitting, naked long every stock and just praying that, dude, they're praying right now that Palantir goes back to 180. It could go to 130. They won't sell a share, but they're praying it's going to go back to 180. And if it goes to 130, they're going to be crying and still be up 70%. So this is the market we're in. And what I'm
And
also
a sign of the times. You're saying the market is a gambler, basically, and I would agree with that. The mentality has changed, but you see, like everybody is into sports betting now, and that's accessible on everyone's phone.
Well,
And now you have poly
what
market
does
coming
that
into
have to do with? But that doesn't have anything to do with this business, other than the fact that
I
we thought
agree. I think it does have a lot to do with it because people's mentality slowly changes into that of a gambler. So they need those 20x returns. They think the market readily gives that to them. And the fact that poly market is now coming into the US, I think is a sign of the times.
well, I
Which I
mean,
think
listen, if people want to gamble on anything, they didn't need a sports book on their phone. They could have always done it. Anybody could have gambled, okay? But what I will agree with is that the access to the market is at a touch of a finger. Here, I'll turn this right now. That's the futures market. I have a computer I'm sitting behind right now, but if I want to trade right now, I just click one button and I'm in. So, I mean, before it wasn't like that. So, I think that what's happened is you've given everybody the access to getting in. And it was funny. I had lunch with a doctor over the weekend who's very involved with a medical school down in Florida where I am. They only take a couple of hundred students. They get 80 or 100,000 applicants, okay? In the game we're in, you don't even have to apply. You're in. You want to be in? You can open an account in 15 minutes. This used to be the way that people would trade currencies because currencies gave really good leverage and really good access to the market. So now I think, listen, I think you're right. Obviously, listen, there is sports betting. There's always been sports betting. Okay. I mean, whether you bet it with an illegal bookie or you bet it on your phone, if somebody wanted to make a wager, they could. Okay. But what's happening now is you're giving, I think it's more of an access thing. I think anybody can trade. The waiter at the restaurant, while he's serving the meal, could go back and click and buy a stock. Okay.
on on one of your stock tips,
On
you
any
can
and
bring.
on any pick, they listen. A lot of people think they know more than us. I mean, that's fine. Maybe they think they do, but like I always say, I can't pretend to be a doctor today, can I? I mean, I can. I'll probably kill someone, but that's the market we're in. And then on top of it, there's so many other things that we can get into, that like front running order flow, seeing order flow. Like people out there think that they're trading for free, but they're paying a toll to Citadel, JP Morgan, whoever the firms are that are paying to buy that order flow. They're paying to buy that order flow because it's a lot worth a lot more than a penny a share. I'd rather pay the commission and get a true fill. But that's for a whole nother podcast. I really want to drill down here. It's funny because literally,
I would
like,
actually, I just want to actually add to that just one thing. It's interesting you were talking about it last night. China comes out with news that they're going to be they're going to be implementing curbs on stock speculation to foster steady gains. So the Chinese government knows everybody's gambling, and I thought it was interesting last night that they came out with that. So
yeah. I mean, listen, for years, China's been putting curbs on retail investors because that is a gambling mentality. I think we're in a gambling mentality. I would tell you yesterday when we were talking at 340, the S&P was up $5. And because there was an imbalance to buy, it ran $35. Okay, there was no news, there was no anything. It's just they ran in front of order flow. They dislocated the market, and literally, if I look at Nasdaq, Nasdaq's up 28 points on the day. I think it's going to be it could be a big red day today, maybe beforehand, because I don't know how it's going to be a green day tomorrow, if this number comes in negative. I don't know how. Wait, we're going to ignore a massive PPI number. Okay, we're going to ignore big PCE numbers, and now we're going to ignore a negative employment number. I mean, don't you think that there are issues, and don't you think maybe these tariffs are really, you know, I'll throw this to you. Are the tariffs on or off? What are they? What's going on?
I don't know. There is revenue coming in, so that's good. And it's in the 20 to 30 billion dollar range per month, which is good. And the deficit is shrinking, which is good. So I think they're on. I think it's crazy that the court can just, negate months and months of policy and basically an entire election.
Well, why don't you ask yourself a better question? Is it legal what he did? Honestly, I mean, if you really want to discuss it, he's only allowed to do that in times of crisis. And he's putting out tweets saying our military is going to fold to zero. I mean, come on. I mean, you know better than that. He probably didn't have any business doing this, but it was part of his plan, and now he's going to have to go through the courts. He's now begging, I saw, the Supreme Court to take this up. Okay, that's not, he thinks it's going to take like a week. I mean, come on. I mean, this thing is in the court system. Okay, so I think tariffs are still on, but I'm not sure. But let me ask you, let's say you're on the sideline right now, you're another country. Okay, you're looking at this, you got to be laughing.
I'm
You got to,
laughing. I'm ignoring the USA because
oh, well,
it's like a
Well,
clown show.
listen, I think a lot of the reason we sold off on Monday morning, there were probably more, but a lot of the reason was the meeting they had in China with the five world leaders that are the axis of evil that are all getting together against the United States. And Trump tweeted last night, I don't know if you saw it, about Chi. Hey, he like gave him a snide comment. How's your best friend Vladimir? I mean, come on, dude. This is stuff that you could see in a movie. It's crazy. So I think it's very negative. I think the world is really PO'd at us. Okay, going as far as Mexico, Canada.
Okay, everybody's pissed off at us, and yet everybody wants to come here.
They do.
They
I don't.
do.
I think they're working around it right now, and I think
Okay.
that I don't know. China and India hate each other. They share a
Yeah.
border. Okay, now they're meeting and kissing. They're hugging and kissing. Well, you know why? Because they're going to do trade deals all over the place. They
You
don't
know, they're
need.
hugging and kissing. India and China looks like they're hugging and kissing. They're not really hugging and kissing.
Okay.
China just did a thing with Pakistan, uh, to cooperate militarily with Pakistan. I don't think India is going to be too happy about that.
I don't know. They were sitting in the country watching an unbelievable military display. Like it's funny we talk about like when Trump did his like those guys do it real. You know what I'm saying? They're out there with all their military gear. It's crazy. But the point is, and you can argue it. The point is they don't. Why does China need to trade with us? Just tell me why. If you could tell me why, I'd love to understand why. We need to trade with them because we need their cheap labor, but they don't need to trade with us. Okay, they don't. They really do
Well,
not.
you're in full disagreement with Donald Trump because he says China needs us more than we need them.
But I'm
Take it
trying
up with
to.
the doctor. I don't know.
I'm. That's just a comment. I'm asking you why and for what. I mean, they don't buy our products. You know that.
Well, the relationship has been where the relationship has been that they would save in U.S. dollars through the buying of our debt, and we would spend on their exports. That was the relationship. Trump comes in and look, the kind of puts that on its head, and now Treasury holdings are dropping. They're upping their gold, so that dynamic is changing. But that was the main relationship, right? It was China needed us to become what China is today. But now China is here, and I don't think they want to save in US dollars anymore.
I don't think they want to deal with this. And the thing is, like I'm hearing, the mayor of New York, you got to get out of New York if he wins. Um, da 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 da. And you know what? The silly thing is, that guy, if he wins, it's going to be horrendous, but it's only going to be horrendous for 4 years because he's never winning twice. Okay. Unless he does a decent enough.
No, you would think he wouldn't win twice. You wouldn't think he would win at all. But De Blasio won twice. I mean, he turned New York into a hellhole, and they still voted for him again.
Okay.
So
So then he's in for 8 years or whatever. I don't know what the max term is. I don't even know. But
it's
all I'm
interesting. Trump is offering Adams like a spot in the administration so that
saying.
that they have a better shot at Mamdani
Yeah,
and
but they're not beating him anyway. Who with what's his name? Cuomo? Yeah, I don't see it.
Cuomo.
Yeah, so they got no shot right now. But either way, all I'm saying is
Whatever happens in New York, we'll deal with it
I understand, but I
like
just
we've done.
brought it up because, or I brought it up because I'm bringing it back to Trump. He's got 3 years left, really. Okay, so what? And he may lose, one of the houses. Okay, and that means he has nothing left. So really, they're just sitting there going, okay, we'll just wait. We'll pay the tariffs for 3 years. We'll deal with it. Big deal. They're not. The whole reason he did this, Eric, I don't even know if you're back on this, was to have Made in America come back to America, and nobody did it. And so I don't know, now he says that, it's kind of like reminds me of Bitcoin when it started. Originally, Bitcoin was replacing money. I had met a guy, he's like, you're never going to use your credit card or money ever again. Okay. You're going to be using Bitcoin for everything. Okay. Then that didn't work. So then they said Bitcoin is a store of money, blah, blah, blah. That didn't work. Then it was energy. You're using Bitcoin for energy. It's giving you energy. And then that whole energy thing didn't work. And now, what is Bitcoin for? What is it for? I know banking transactions. Let me tell you what I'll tell you about banking transactions. I wire money all over the place. Okay. My wires now hit in 20 minutes. It's not like it used to be an entire day and then they'd freeze it and hold it. My banking transactions are hitting in 20 minutes.
20 minutes is too long, man. Too long.
Whatever. I mean, you know why
So
they're
what do
using
you
it.
think? So, by the way, speaking of Bitcoin, MSTR, it just looks like a dying stock, you know. Um, and Bitcoin is really outperforming MSTR, and I think what's happening there is two things. One, the advent of more and more of these Bitcoin and crypto treasury companies that are just replicating exactly what MSTR has done, and also I think recently Taylor. And here's a chart of MSTR against IBIT. So the white line is MSTR. You could see, and the orange line is IBIT. Look how closely they were tracking. And all of a sudden, about a month and a half ago, you have this unbelievable divergence. Down here is the spread. So why is there a premium in MicroStrategy to Bitcoin? One. And two, I think the sentiment may have started to shift as he issued more stock, diluting shareholders to buy more Bitcoin, and then coupled with the advent of all these other treasury companies. But
Well,
MSTR looks really interesting.
let me ask you this. How much is big? Can you tell me how much Bitcoin is up on the year? Can you?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, 10%,
No, not off the
zero.
top of your head. Not off the top of your head. That's a complete guess. Okay. No, I was comparing it to MSTR because MSTR is still up 14% for the year. I don't know if Bitcoin, Bitcoin seems like it's had a big move this year, but I don't think it has. I don't think it's had a crazy move. Um,
No.
you know, so
Well, it's been Bitcoin and gold, one and two, in terms of top asset class performers.
no, that can't. I mean, gold is far superior. The gold's up 35% for the year. Bitcoin can't be up even 20. I don't believe. But again, I'm
By the
not in
way,
front of it.
gold gave you maybe like one shot to short it yesterday, and that may have been gone already. Let's see.
What do you mean? It's
What are you
one.
doing with gold?
I was gonna short it yesterday and I just have too many, I'm actually in full disclosure, I'm short Bitcoin. I'm short a couple of stocks around Bitcoin. One that you mentioned earlier. Um, we've been riding that short. I'm also short. I'm also short oil here. I've been shorted. I think right now we're going to have the big move. I think we could have. It's down about
In oil?
76. It's down 76 cents. We've done this trade. We've done this trade 5 times. We've gone from 72 to 65 to 70. I mean, I'm sorry, 62 to 65 to 62. And we're back down at 63, low 63. Okay. If we get into the 62 handle, I think we're going to aggressively pick up. And if you go look at the oil stocks yesterday. Pull up a chart of the integrated oils. They smashed them yesterday. So that leads me to believe there's probably more of this move coming because why would they smash those things if we already went down? So I would keep a close eye on oil today, breaking below 63. If you are shorted, I would add to the short. And let's touch on, because we got about 10 minutes to go here. Currencies.
Yeah, people want to know about the straddle. They're writing in as we speak.
Okay, where is that? Oh, today it won't be that big, but tomorrow's gonna. I think we should look today and tomorrow. I'm going with $50, $55 for tomorrow, and $26 for today. Those are my two
Wrong.
things.
Wrong for today. I didn't check for tomorrow yet, but the straddle is lower for today. It is currently trading at 21.50.
Okay, and I'm not that
21.
wrong. I'm not that wrong. So then tomorrow's straddle is probably 45, which is disappointing. You know.
Check out tomorrow. What do you think of the VIX here? I mean, it's all the cash VIX. We've been talking about that trade potentially unwinding, and the cash VIX is still up. Uh, even though the market has closed Friday's gap or Monday's gap.
I honestly don't know. Um, I am looking for a way to put on long volatility in the short end. I think people are in that trade. I think people are short front month, long back month. I think they had short. I think they had the short end long in bonds and the long end short. I think they blew up on that trade. I think they're blowing up. Listen, I am I'm extremely negative on the market. I think you have seasonality. I think you have people back. I think you have a Nasdaq to me that does not look good. I think you have the general. The general has been shot. Okay, the general has been shot, which is Nvidia. Okay. And I don't know where it goes, but that to me today, especially, could be
Hmm.
key to what we're looking at. And then underlining the surface, the earnings have been negative with kind of negative, negative what I would call push. And it's funny because the Nasdaq is up 30 points as we're on the air. And the reason why it's up 30 points is because they blew everyone out to the short side last night. That's why. Otherwise, we would probably be down today. And they created a short base in the market. The short base has had a cover all night. I like the short side. You have the number tomorrow, but I like the short side potentially.
60-point straddle. 60-point for tomorrow.
Yeah, that makes sense. Straddle's too low for today. I actually didn't even make a trade in the straddle yesterday. I mean, in my LSP, it just wasn't enough premium. I didn't feel that convicted. Today, I'm going to sell some upside. I'm hoping the market holds up. We got a half an hour before the opening, and the Nasdaq's only up 25. I think it's going to come in negative. I think the Nasdaq could. It depends. I mean, do people really want to take this long position into a number that's going to be the first real negative jobs number in a very long time? Okay. Even when we had bad jobs numbers, there was still job creation. So I don't remember the last negative jobs number, but I think it's been a while. And I don't know how you're going to explain. Like, I don't know, you really think whether they cut a quarter or a half here at 4% with a stock market that's boomed 70% in the last 3 years is is really bullish? I mean, I listen, I don't know. So I'm not sure. But I do feel like short is the way.
Perception, perception goes a long way in the market. Um, and so does sentiment and even headlines. So
I think the
it
biggest,
may
I
not
think
make sense, but it may not make sense. But I think George Soros even has like a theory about this. His theory of reflexivity. Aside from his political stuff, he was an amazing trader, right? And so you would say there's like a feedback loop between all of this news, and it may not make sense, but somehow people's perception of it is going to seep into the fundamental market and create the feedback loop, and from there you get your bubbles and all that. So I think there's some of that.
what is that doing for us? You got to tell, it sounded
Absolutely
really,
nothing.
really, it did.
Absolutely.
It's like, what is that going to do for us today or tomorrow? But
Nothing.
Do we sell the news? Do we buy the news? What is the news?
It
Okay.
depends.
So he said it's a
Now
fear,
you're
not
hitting the
belief.
sell button. You can become philosophical about it.
I listen. Hopefully, we get the trade that I think is going to happen. I think you're going to see some liquidation into today, into tomorrow. Um, Tomorrow's number, I guess, is going to be really big. We'll have to, you know, we'll have to be ready. I'm negative. I think the Nasdaq shows leaks. The only thing is, like what I said to you before, it's all price action. So, like now, the Nasdaq's at its worst level of the morning. It's 9:05, but it's still up. If we were down, we'd be down 150 Nasdaq right now. Okay, because Salesforce had bad numbers. That new IPO that came out a couple of weeks ago or a month ago produced earnings that were very bad. And nothing to me is indicating other than the fact that they caught people short yesterday into the close, and that's the reason we're up. So you know, I would be leery. I like Bitcoin as a short here. I think these stocks, whether it's GBTC or MicroStrategies, um, are weak in general. And I think, on Sunday night, I thought we were going to get a trade down to 107 in Bitcoin. And I still think that that's a level, maybe even down to 100. And I was on this podcast yesterday with a lot of smart guys. And we were talking about Bitcoin and how mainstream it is and how you can buy it in any ETF, and pretty much every single person in the United States owns some Bitcoin, okay? But not one of them has lived through a crypto winter. I mean, I don't even know if I should say crypto winter because they won't know, but crypto winters were more vicious as a bear market than any bear markets that I've ever lived through. Like where people just throw up their hands and they don't want to own the product. So we haven't had a Bitcoin bear market in years and years and years. What's going to happen if that happens when everybody owns this stuff? And then they're going to be second guessing themselves of what they own. Like, listen, if you own Nvidia, you own a company. It produces earnings, it produces a product, and it has revenue. You're buying Bitcoin, it doesn't have anything. It has a made up story that started with a guy Hashimoto or whatever the guy's name was, who invented a coin and all of this stuff. I know you hate to hear it, but there's nothing backing Bitcoin. Nothing. The government isn't backing it. Okay, it doesn't produce earnings. You don't know, any of this stuff. So I think it's probably in the history of trading, for me, it's got to be the most speculated asset class that's ever been created. And it's an amazing thing because it went from zero to now having a $4 trillion market cap throughout all the coins. And come on, Eric, you're a smart guy. Why do we need 20,000 or 50,000 alternate coins? Like every other day, my son invented a coin. Literally in my area where I live, there were a bunch of kids and they had the Logan coin. Okay. They had a coin that some guy invented. Okay. And he actually pumped it up and was able to sell it. But come on, tell me how this is real. How is this real?
It's real because the culture loves it. It's part of the culture now.
But it
It's
doesn't
part of
matter if
the
it's
new.
called
It
Bitcoin
does
or
matter.
shitcoin. It doesn't,
100%
Dave. What does it matter?
if
Why?
if all of a sudden people just feel like bartering in Bitcoin and in crypto and find a way to do it very efficiently and like at the point of transaction, a lot of people are going to do it. And the culture, it's part of the culture now.
We created a fork,
Every
but we
generation
haven't
going
done that.
forward is going to have Bitcoin as part of their way of life, the part of their
Okay.
psyche. It's
So
part of the culture.
you know what? I got to have a hard stop right now. And I'm glad that I'm listening to this because it's actually amazing. Okay. You have to have, I right now do not have to have Bitcoin for anything that I do,
You don't.
nor does
Uh,
anyone that I know. Okay. So you're saying we're going to be bartering in Bitcoin. I mean, come
Give
on.
it a few years.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's part of the
Whatever.
culture.
Well, we're going to end it on this. How many years has Bitcoin been in existence? Less than 10. I mean, come on, dude. This is the craziest thing of all time. I'm just saying, you guys out there, you could laugh at me. You can go, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But this is
You're
this is
Nobody's laughing at you. It's just
I'm
that
just saying this is a bubble. This is
uh,
this is a bigger bubble than equities. At least equities you can
I
quantify.
think equities are a bigger bubble than Bitcoin. I don't
Okay,
think
dude.
Bitcoin is a
All
bubble. I
right.
think equities
Listen,
are.
I'm ending this. We could keep going on. You actually think equities is bigger than Bitcoin is a bubble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Let me ask you a question. You have Bitcoin right now. Okay. Tomorrow morning, Bitcoin could be obsolete. It could be gone out of your account. What do you do?
I hope I'm positioned properly.
Eric, there's no
What can I tell
there is no backstop to this. No backstop. It could go down to zero right now,
you?
and there's no
Any-
backstop.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So I listen, if I'm buying Nvidia, I
For
know the
money managers, am I putting my clients' 100% portfolio into Bitcoin? No.
why would you put any of it in? Because you think it may be something good? I mean, whatever.
Well,
Anyway, I have a hard stop. Sorry I had to run early today. Good podcast. We're going to be ready for the number. Tomorrow is my Ask Me Anything show. So remember to write into feedback at theopportunistictrader.com. I'll get to everybody's questions, and we'll be back together Monday to discuss the number. And I will be on tomorrow talking about the number on the AMA. Good luck trading today and enjoy.